Hello and welcome to today's show. I'm delighted to be joined by the living legend that is Bonnie Tyler.
Hey, how are you?
Very well, thank you for joining us in the studio today.
Great,
now, Bonnie's here because this year, would you believe, is her 30th anniversary of being in the business. That's 30 years of great shows, great albums and singles. And to celebrate, there was a whole range, I believe, of celebrations this year. DVDs, CDs,
yeah,
tours.
My first ever live DVD. It's coming out 10th of July. And I've got a brand new album, all new songs, coming out on the 22nd of May called Celebrate. And something else. Oh, there, the single's coming out, I think. I can't remember the date the single's coming out, but it's coming out, it's called Louise.
Well, we'll listen to that later on in the show, and we'll take all of your questions. Thank you so much for submitting all your questions. We have had dozens and dozens of questions. Good. And we'll try and deal with as many as we can. But before we do, let's take a sneak preview of the DVD that Bonnie mentioned that's coming out later in the year, July, I believe. We'll show a few clips from some of the tours around Europe that you've recorded, right, and a little trip down memory lane looking at some of Bonnie's greatest hits.
With the big hair, I suppose.
I was lost in the grass, in the fields of birds singing. I was lost in the grass, and the day was just beginning. Yes, I stood there in the morning rain. I had a feeling I can't explain. I was lost in the grass. It's a heartache, nothing but a heartache. Hits you when it's too late, hits you when you die. And it's a fool's game, nothing but a fool's game. Standing in the cold rain, feeling like a clown. Together we can take it to the end of the night. Love's like a shadow with me all the time. All the time. I don't know what to do when always in the dark, letting the power to get you lost. I really need you tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Once upon a time I was falling in love, now I'm only falling apart. And nothing I can say, total eclipse of the heart. Where are all the good men gone? Where are all the gone? Where's the sweet white Hercules to find the rising Lord? Isn't there a white knight upon a fire steed? Late at night I toss and I turn, I dream of what I see. I need a hero, holding out for a hero till the end of the night. But he's gotta be strong.
Well, just a few of the fantastic hits from Bonnie's back catalogue. That tour, I mean, how many places were you playing? Some massive crowds.
Yeah, we all around really. There's some of Saragossa in there from Spain. But basically there's only a couple of places on the DVD. The Cigale in Paris, which was actually my birthday. It just happened to fall on the same day.
There's some clips of everyone coming out and giving you presents and cakes.
Yeah, they brought this huge cake on the stage as well, and this lovely little chocolate cake somebody actually brought from the audience, you know. And yeah, it's good. They've added a few things that I didn't know were going to be on the DVD. Mind the things like going shopping in Tunisia and eating and drinking and basically making a fool of myself, I think.
But it really gives you a real...
It's my first one ever, you know, my first DVD ever. So, you know, the fans have been asking for a DVD for a long time, you know. So, but it's out on the 10th of July.
Well, talking about the fans, I mean, tell you, you've still got fantastic attendances at gigs. The number of questions we've got coming in the chat, and we will get round to your questions very shortly, I do promise you. Yeah. It's fantastic. What do you put it down to?
My fans are great. They're very loyal, right? But I have new ones, you know, as well, you know. Since, like, last year, I was number just over a year ago, I was #1 for 12 weeks continually in France, right? Had a #1 for 12 weeks. And the audience are like young to all ages, you know. So my audience are right across the board. But they've stuck with me, you know. My fans are brilliant, and they've grown up and they've got children, and they come as well, you know.
Well, not only are they stuck with you, they're here today, and quite a lot of you out there.
Great, thank you.
So, very quickly, we're going to try in the next 20 minutes or so to get through as many as we can, answer as many questions.
Come on then, fire away.
The way to take part, if you want to answer questions, is in the box below the video on which you're watching this now is a small text box. Please tell us who you are and where you're from, because I know we've got many of you from around Europe and from further afield. Quick question, we'll try and get through as many as we can. Let's start off with Wendy. Wendy wants to know, what's kept you in music for the past 30 years? Do you ever think, I'm tired of this, I feel like doing something different?
Because I really love what I do, you know. I suppose the difference for me was when I started singing when I was 17 and a half. I was singing for 7 years before I had my first opportunity of ever going into a recording studio, you know. So I had 7 years, you know, going around the clubs
on the road
with my band and everything like that. But I wanted to be a singer. I didn't want to be famous, you know. I never even dreamt I could be famous, you know. I wanted to be a singer in a band. So, and I was having my dream, you know, by working with a local band. But I had the opportunity by chance, because someone came from Chapel Music in London, Roger Bell, came into a club where I was working, because there was 2 bands. There was one band upstairs, one band downstairs, and he'd come particularly to listen to Vic Oakley singing upstairs, right?
Whatever happened to Vic Oakley?
He came in on the wrong floor and he heard me singing. So, you know, how lucky could you be, you know? So I got the opportunity to go to London. But I first and foremost wanted to be a singer, not just to be famous. But that was the icing on the cake then, you know?
Well, excellent. Well, I hope that's answered your question, Wendy. Amy joins us. I'm going to try and get through as many as we can. Amy wants to know, with Bonnie Tyler not being your real name, why did you decide to change your name when you started, and where did it come from? I've also heard that you also went under the name Shireen Davis.
Yeah, I know. Anyway.
They find these things out, the fans, don't they?
I know. But, well, my real name, is Gaynor Hopkins, right? Gaynor Hopkins. Well, Mary Hopkins was very, very popular, you know, like for the young ones that don't remember Mary. So, those were the days, my friend. You know, that Paul McCartney, and it's an old Russian folk song as well, actually.
Is it?
So, she was Hopkins, and she lived just up the road from me, you know. So, I thought, well, I better change my name, you know. And I didn't never really like Gaynor when I was a little girl, you know. So I decided, now's my chance to change it, you know. But, silly me, I changed it to my first little niece's name, which was Shireen. So, and then I changed my last name to my favourite auntie's name, Davis. Shireen Davis. Do me a favour, that's not a very good name. But when I recorded Lost in France, and It's a Heartache then, Ronnie, when I met Ronnie Scott and Steve Wolfe anyway, they said, how do you feel about changing your name? You sound more like a belly dancer than a singer. You know? I said, yeah, right. So I just got a newspaper, right? And I made a note of all the Christian names in one line and all the surnames in another one. And I matched them up until I came up with a sound that I liked, you know, Bonnie Tyler. So that's how it came around.
Well, there you go, Amy. There's your answer to that one. Tracy's joined us. Thanks for joining us, Tracy. And she wants to know, one thing that always comes across with Welsh musicians is that they're always very proud of their roots and associations with Wales. Is this something that you also feel?
I'm not so patriotic as everybody. I know there's a lot of people, they are very patriotic, and of course I love going back to Wales because my family are there, you know. I've got 3 sisters, 2 brothers, 16 nieces and nephews, and a beautiful home overlooking the sea, you know. But it's great, but do you know, I live in Portugal most of the time. I live in the Algarve, and so I commute so much to Europe because so much of my work is not in this country, that it's easier for me to commute from Portugal, believe it or not, you know. And I love it, you know. And I have a beautiful boat over there in Villamora, which I spend my days off on, you know. It's just great.
You've never lost the Welsh accent.
Oh, me? I'll tell you a story about that later, but that's the answer to your question.